What's up? On this episode of Real Estate Talk on my commute. I don't know. I didn't really give a good intro of my background story, so I'm going to do that in the next few episodes. I was just like anybody else, trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life, and this is going back to grade school, high school, college, and at that time in the 90s and early 2000s, everybody was emphasizing going to school, getting a degree, and then getting a good job. That was really the accepted way to move up in society, and entrepreneurship really wasn't seen as something that was a viable option at the time, although as we know what happened in the early 2000s, that changed a lot. But I had an inkling of becoming a doctor since I was in grade school. My parents immigrated from the Philippines, and they were in healthcare, so that's all I was really exposed to, and the doctors were the ones that made the most money, had the most respect, and wanted to be in that light. And then later on, I discovered that I really enjoyed taking care of patients. Because I was into sports, I gravitated to sports medicine, so got a sports medicine degree, and then went to grad school to finish up some requirements to take the MCATs to go to medical school. That's the test that you take to get into medical school, and then went into a master's degree program for sports medicine. So that was my path. I had no interest in building a business or starting a business, or even had any interest in real estate. But so went along that path, took the MCATs in 97, and was applying to med school. And then within that time frame, I was while I was doing that, I came back to Cleveland, got a job in sports medicine in the rehab department at a local hospital, taking care of sports injuries and then also other orthopedic injuries on the therapy side of things. After somebody got surgery and they needed rehab, then my degree would allow me to do that. So got interested in what was happening in that at my job, because I had a really entrepreneurial boss that was building a sports medicine program around the idea of wellness and performance enhancement, which wellness is a pretty mainstream term now, but back then it wasn't. And so we were helping athletes improve their performance, because it was really competitive. As school, especially college, was getting more expensive. People were trying to compete for scholarship dollars as athletes, and as we know, only a few small percentage of athletes make it and get full scholarships to Division I schools. But nonetheless, everybody thought that if they worked hard enough, they could get a scholarship. So we were starting to do private instruction. My background in sports medicine allowed me to put programs together to increase vertical jump, increase speed, increase agility, and quickness, and increase strength. So we put that together. That was going really well, and that's when I really started to understand my interest in building a business, entrepreneurship. So and then my boss at the time also had a double that he was living in. He lived in the upper unit and then rented out, or he lived in a down unit and rented out the up unit, and his tenant was paying for his mortgage. And I thought that was pretty cool and interesting, that you could build equity in a house and have somebody else pay for it. So one of my patients got to me a house that her mom was selling. Her mom was going into a nursing home, and it was in this neighborhood called Tremont, where at the time, and this is in the late 90s, where it wasn't very desirable to live in. So I just as a courtesy took a look at it, but then learned some really interesting things about the neighborhood, where there were townhomes being built down the street and they were selling for $500,000, and at this time in this neighborhood nothing was selling for over $100,000. This house that I was looking at, a double in the neighborhood, was they were asking $65,000 for it. So I thought that was interesting that somebody would be willing to pay $500,000 for a 2,000 square foot townhome in this neighborhood, because it was kind of bad, some crime there, and just the houses were not, or the old stock houses were not, were built in the late 1800s, early 1900s, so a lot of century homes and a lot of homes that were distressed and weren't taken care of. So found out later that community development corporations, so they were city funded organizations to help develop neighborhoods around the city, that were doing a lot of things around increasing development in the neighborhood, and then also attracting nicer restaurant owners to open up restaurants, and then also art galleries were becoming popular in this neighborhood. A lot of artists were selling their art, and just became more and more prevalent for those type of things. And one thing that put them on the map was a young chef by the name of Michael Symon. On the Food Network, they have the Iron Chef competition, and he actually won it. I can't remember what year, but it was in the early 2000s, so that really put that area on the map. And then you saw a lot of gourmet restaurants opening up, and fortunately for me, those restaurants were opening up very close to the double that I eventually bought, because of some of the things that I saw that was going on in the neighborhood. But fast forward to today, that neighborhood is appreciated a lot, and that's what really got me into real estate. I refied my double a year and a half after I bought it, and this is like 99 or 2000, and it appreciated basically 100%. It appraised for $145,000, and I learned right away what equity was all about as far as real estate. So that really got me on the road to looking and learning about real estate more, and building a business around that. And was still involved, or was still working in healthcare, but there was something about this real estate thing that I really wanted to learn and build a business around. It's kind of weird, because I really had no knowledge or interest of real estate, but all of a sudden I was really getting into it. And I think one of the reasons why was because I really, I grew up on the west side of Cleveland, and I saw how a neighborhood changed so dramatically for the better, and that I wanted to be a part of that, not only as a way to make a living and make money, but also as sort of, I think, leaving a legacy behind when it comes to the neighborhood that you grew up in, and improving and developing those neighborhoods. So I'll cut it off here. I'm going to do a couple other intros about my background, and how once I got into real estate, how I got into partnerships, and how those partnerships didn't work out, and what I learned from them. So hopefully you're getting something out of my journey and what I've learned, and hopefully I can bring value to you. So I will see you on the next one. Keep learning, keep thinking about whatever it is you want to be doing, but the most important thing is just get out there and do it. All right, see you.